Hey, everybody, welcome to a very special edition of the Lockdown Sessions. As always, we are brought to you by our good friends, Wrestle Merch Central over there in the UK. They are the biggest spot, the biggest hub of all things professional wrestling for Europe. So please check them out, Wrestle Merch Central, and check them out. They got a lot of stuff to look at. Speaking of a lot of stuff to look at, that wasn't a good segue, but I went with it. I am joined here by Motch O Mann. Motch, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. Happy to be here, yeah.
You know what, we made it through a few days of trying to figure out a time and a date, maybe a week. We had a cancellation. And then technology almost got the best of us, but in the end, we prevailed.
So that's right, man. Me and you, tag team, handicap match against technology, man. Me and you versus Zoom, and we won. Yeah.
Right. Now, I almost dug out that same shirt, special for you, but I couldn't find it. But hopefully, this doesn't make you. I got the Ricky the Dragon. So I thought, shades of WrestleMania 3 here. We'll just have.
I guess I ought to give this to you then.
And I'll give it right to Honky after a cup of coffee. I'll give it right to him. So
cup of coffee in the big time.
So Motch, I know. I'm gonna start right off with kind of promoting you. I discovered on TikTok the Macho Man. And it was awesome. I mean, you're living the gimmick, you're doing awesome. And it was, I think, I didn't stay up and watch twerking videos that night. I watched all of the Macho Man stuff because you do such a great job. How long have you been Motch O Mann?
I've been doing the Macho Man. Well, funny thing is that I've been able to do the voice and the impression since I was a kid, But then as I got older, somehow I kind of morphed into them, and people started telling me I look like them, and taking mixing the look with the mannerisms and the voice. Got to work on the guns a little bit more. Got to work on the tan a little bit more. But I would say it's been about 2 years since I said, you know what? I'm gonna try to make something with this Motch thing. I'm good at it. I'm gonna try to monetize it. I'm gonna try to, become an internet sensation.
You're good at it. You're fantastic at it. That's why, like I said, I was like, if TikTok would have had me reaching out. You still have the TikTok account going, correct or no?
Yeah, man. You know something? I'm on all platforms, but as you know, as we spoke, technology is not my friend. Social media is not my friend. I actually have somebody, I have a manager, not Elizabeth, but I have a manager that takes care of all my social media needs. And honestly, I don't even go on TikTok. I mean, it's been quite a while.
I was going to say, I tried to find, usually it comes up as, and I'm no good at it either, but somehow I ended up with 19,000 followers right now. So it's a strange thing, man. I don't do anything. Basically, wrestling travel. We take fans from all around the world to their favorite wrestling events. Of course, that hit a rough patch here in 2020. Right. So it's basically, I've got clips from all the matches that we've been at with wrestling travel and that I've been at personally. And TikTok allows you to set the music. So I'm not doing anything crazy. But 19,000 people seem to be enjoying it. So I mean, I'm getting lucky right there. I don't know how to monetize or anything because technology is definitely not my friend either. So I'm gonna have to call your manager. The mega powers.
Right.
We can unite. So I'm gonna ask what everybody's probably asking at home. So doing the Macho Man, doing the voice.
Right.
Does that ruin your throat on days, or if you got a cold, are you done and you got to take the day off, or how is that rough on the old tonsils?
It's funny that I actually have something going on in my throat right now. It's like I think it is one of my tonsils. It looks a little enlarged, and I don't know if it's from doing the voice. I went to the doctor. She put me on some antibiotics and stuff like that. But it's just funny that you should say tonsils because I really don't know. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't, it's just that I noticed it because it felt like there was something in my throat. But I'm sure it's not a big deal. But the voice, it's actually like I'm so used to doing it that sometimes I'm actually doing it without even realizing that I'm doing it because my regular speaking voice does not sound like this. But I'm not breaking character for nobody.
I would never ask you to. What I want to know is when those telemarketers call to talk to you about your extended auto warranty, please tell me you go all Motch on them.
I do. And I love it. Of course, man. Anytime that I get a call, creditors or that scam call saying it's Social Security, saying that your Social Security number's been deleted or whatever like that, I get them on the phone and I play with them. They like to play with me. I play with them and confuse them and make them hang up.
Please tell me, and if not, please do start recording them and putting them.
I wish I could. I got to figure out a way. Again, we're dealing with technology, so I'm sure there's an app for that. But
I'll tell you what, being where I'm at, there is an app because I've got a great interview with Gary Michael Capetta that I did, but it was on a landline, and I just put a recorder next to it because as I looked for an app, the privacy laws are so that you have to let the other person know you're recording. It gives you a new number, but yeah, right. Something we gotta figure that out because that would be, dude. I'm telling you, not that you're not blowing up already, but you'd blow up even bigger. I'd love to hear you.
Well, that would be a great idea, man. You remember back in the day, the Jerky Boys?
I love them. Yeah,
love
Frank Rizzo.
Frank Rizzo. I could do a lot of those impressions too. I do many, many impressions. Maybe at some point I'll let some of them out, besides the Motch thing. But I love the Jerky Boys, and that would be a great idea to just make a whole series of prank phone calls as Motch.
Dude, I would love it. I would, please, if that comes to fruition, I want to buy the first copy. I want to be there. I want to share it on Wrestling Travel because I'm telling you, I think it'll be awesome. Because the best part about it is if this were prime 1990s and the 80s, people would catch on and be like, oh, he's doing but now people that are in the telemarketers, I'm going to assume that they're not watching a whole lot of pro wrestling, that you're going to get a lot of people going, what the hell? It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, they just think it's some guy with a real bad smoking habit or something.
Yeah, and then just doing the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, jumping into all. I mean, dude, okay. I don't even need any credit. I just want to see it when it's done. So
you know what, man? Hey, we just came up with a great idea, man. I'm always trying to find ways to to make videos or do something that's going to catch on and hope that something I do will go viral. And right now, man, we just came up with a great idea. You know what I mean? Doing something like the prank calls would be awesome.
I'm telling you, I don't know much about viral stuff because if I knew it, I would do it. But I gotta, dude, I'm telling you, Macho Man answering a telemarketer is gonna be epic. I think that'll be something that'll blow up. So stay tuned.
Right.
Nobody steal our idea. Copyright right now. We're nobody watching this can take that. You're doing it. It's yours.
Right. I'm sure somebody has done it. I'm sure somebody has thought of it, done it, but not like me, not like doing it as much. And I could do it in a lot of different voices too. I'll do a goddamn Stone Cold Steve Austin on them when they call me son.
Oh shit, that's amazing. I didn't see that coming.
Oh my God. All right.
Oh my goodness. And
the only time I'll break character is to go into another character.
Well, but are there any other characters that you can break into right here? Because I hate to ask. I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to ruin everything. I'll just
have to let them come out as they come out.
Perfect.
Sometimes, I don't even know.
You can't do them on the spot. I understand.
I could, but we'll just have to see. Like I could. I don't want to ruin the anticipation. I want to kind of like just throw it. You see how I did the Stone Cold, kind of threw you off, right?
Absolutely. And if I would ask you, and if you rolled into everybody you did right now, it wouldn't be a good show. I got it. So I know as a child, as a youngster, we all tried the Macho Man voice. We all tried it. We all thought it's just awesome when somebody hits on it. How long since you were a kid, Randy Savage, somebody you watched and looked up to, obviously?
Yeah, it was actually Hulk Hogan that was like, I was a Hulkamaniac at first. And because I first started, the first time I ever saw wrestling was the first WrestleMania. My dad was watching it. I had no idea that he was a wrestling fan. You know what I mean? He's watching it. And I just remember seeing the main event and seeing the crowd's reaction to Hulk Hogan. I didn't know who Hulk Hogan was. I just saw that, like, Hulk Hogan and Mr. T were getting like this, this full arena of people going crazy. And then I was hooked. And got my hair, my wig, and this ain't my real hair, My hair is not too much more pretty, but yeah, it was later on that Macho Man came on, because he came later on in the same year in '85. And as soon as I saw him, man, it was like, the voice and the robes and Elizabeth. And it was like, man, that's the dude right there, man. I want to be that guy, And, me being the way that I am, my talent is like, if I hear something enough or if I watch something enough, I could do impressions pretty well, obviously. Right. So, I was just able to do it at a real young age. And I just remember like people from junior high, and high school that I'm still friends with on Facebook or whatever like that, man, they see me doing what I'm doing now. And they're just like, dude, you've been doing that, forever. So it was meant to be, man. It was meant to be.
I gotta tell you now, we're both have been in the wrestling business, but when I'm younger, growing up watching, the promos right before WrestleMania 5, where I'd always been a wrestling fan, but those Macho Man promos, the Randy Savage promos that he did that lead up to WrestleMania 5 drew me in. Like there was so much that was real to me. He put so much passion in. I mean, are those some of your favorite promos too? Please tell me I'm not the only one that drew me in, focused on him. No, this is perfect.
Well, check this out, man. To answer your question, if you go to my social media, if you go to my Facebook specifically, and it's under Vic Vine, only because there was, again, technical issues with the name, and they wouldn't let me use the Motch O Mann and whatever. But I have many different social medias. If you just type in my name, spelled MOTCHOMANN, I do these videos every week, and it's called Boiling Point. And it's, it's because of those videos, those promos that Macho Man did leading up to WrestleMania 5, where, it's actually, if you go to YouTube and you put in Boiling Point Macho Man, you'll see the whole series of those. And the part where he takes off his glasses and he says, that's enough to get me to my boiling point. So I do these videos that are like a minute long, and I pick a topic, and there's a lot of topics today that'll get me to my boiling point. And every time that I have a topic, I go on there and I make a minute long video on, I just did one on like doctor's visits, right? Because I went to the doctor, and you go there at your appointment time, and they have you sitting and waiting, and then they finally call you back, and you sit and wait there, and I'm not a very patient person. So check out the videos, man. They're all up on my social media, and it's called, The Boiling Point. And you'll understand that those are my favorite promos of all time.
I love it. I can't wait. I want to make sure I don't cut the interview short to go to it, because the one where he pulls off the glasses and he's complete and utter rage and his neck is just out, that was just freaking got me. So please, when you get to the point where you're answering telemarketers, I want them to upset you, and I want them to know that you have complete and utter rage. I mean, that's top dollar. I'm gonna make sure that goes viral. And I'm not joking. It sounds like I'm joking, but I'm actually very passionate about this. This is I can't tell you how awesome this is to just be, because I've been watching your stuff on TikTok, like I said, forever. Is there everybody's gonna ask you when you do an interview, they're gonna say, Motch, what's your favorite Randy Savage match? I want to know that, but what I want to know more importantly is there a hidden gem Randy Savage match that we should be looking for, that maybe our focus is over here, but here's a hidden gem that you know?
Well, of course, everybody's going to say WrestleMania 3, right?
Yeah.
But if you go back even before WrestleMania 3, any matches that you've seen with Savage and Steamboat, you'll see a lot of the same stuff that they used in the WrestleMania 3 match. But all of their matches, man, from the very first time that they ever, stepped foot in the ring together, there's some old house shows and there's some old, footage that's, way before WrestleMania 3, 85, 86. Those guys have worked together a million times, and that's part of the reason why that match was so perfect. But I have seen Macho Man versus Dynamite Kid. I mean, just think about that. Just those names alone, right? I always wondered why there was never a Macho Man and Bret Hart feud, but they have worked. And I mean, those two are just like, two of the best workers in the world, you know what I mean? And they really should have had like a long thing going on. It was like just a random, Macho Man versus Bret Hart, like no big deal. But and of course there were matches with Macho Man and Shawn Michaels. And again, not a huge program that that Motch actually wanted to do for his retirement. You probably heard the story that he wanted to top his match with Ricky Steamboat, and he thought that was the only person that he'd be able to do that with. And it never happened. WWE didn't want it, but they did have some matches. They had matches when Shawn Michaels was Intercontinental Champion and Motch was the heavyweight champion. So it was later on, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then the other thing that comes to mind, and I didn't do any research on it, but I do remember back right about the time that we both broke in the Macho Man and Diamond Dallas Page in WCW. I remember being in and thinking, now if I go back to them, they might not be that good, but I just remember being into those matches. They were fun to watch.
Yeah, I actually didn't start watching those, man. It's funny that I was a hardcore WWE fan, or WWF. And by the time the new generation started and everybody was like jumping ship to go to WCW, I was never a fan of WCW. I never watched it. I just thought that was like the Bush leagues and WWE was like the major leagues, and I didn't know any of the WCW wrestlers. I knew of them. I knew of Ric Flair. Didn't care to watch any of those guys. They weren't entertaining to me as far as like, characters. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that got me hooked on Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior and this and that. Like WCW didn't have guys like that. So, I stuck with WWF during that whole new generation. So I started liking guys like Shawn Michaels and, Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Rocky Maivia. You might recognize some of those names. And I didn't bother to watch WCW, so I almost stopped. Stopped being a Macho Man fan because it just wasn't in WWF anymore. And I actually went back and watched. There's still a lot of Macho Man stuff that NWO stuff that I'm still watching and seeing for the first time because I was such a diehard WWF fan. The only time I ever started watching WCW was with the NWO, and I was clicking back and forth only to see who from the WWF was jumping ship. And that's it.
How about if we go back before WWF? Do you now go back and watch like some of the Mid-South? There's big things on Savage and Jerry Lawler with the Poffos stuff. Do you get a chance to go back when you can and watch the older stuff?
Most definitely. I actually put a match up that I found, and it's old. It's from either the late '70s or early '80s, and it's Randy Poffo wrestling one of his very first men. No beard, skinny kid. Um, and so I started going way back, and the whole the ICW that his dad started in Kentucky, and then from there he Macho Man got his break with Mid South, feuding with Jerry Lawler and all that before getting called up to WWF. So yeah, I mean, I've done like real old school research, and just as a segue into my wrestling career, as Vic Divine, I wrestled under that name, and I was at OVW from 2005 to 2007. Unfortunately, never got a deal, never got a contract with WWE, but that was the goal. And who was my trainer? Rip Rogers. Now, Rip Rogers was trained pretty much by the Poffo family. He was roommates with Randy Savage, and he has Randy Savage stories that you can only imagine, personal stories of imagine being a roommate, roommates with Macho Man. So I was trained by the same person that actually trained or helped the Macho Man trained him. He said it in interviews that he learned everything from just being around the Poffos.
Let me get into that, because I want to talk about Vic Divine, because that was what made it difficult to kind of track you down. Was just like you said, we have trouble with technology, but you're an actual trained professional wrestler, was in the OVW. I know as Vic Divine is a separate character from the Macho Man, but have you thrown an elbow off the top rope just for old time's sake?
I have, and usually I was in a spot where would tell the guy to to move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was too afraid. I didn't practice it enough to to make sure I wasn't going to kill him. But I've done the flying elbow.
Yeah, that would have been my freaking biggest fear. It has been, is just you're in the ring and you got to respect the other opponent. If you can't lay it, can't lay it in safe.
Right.
That's the thing. So you told me you trained in around 1990, late 90s. Getting in there.
I started my wrestling career in '97. It was just, I wanted to be a wrestler ever since I was a kid. Like I said, the first time I saw wrestling, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And back then, in the Stone Age, then we didn't have internet, so I had no idea about indie promotions. I had no idea how to go from, how do you end up in the WWF? No idea, right? Um, Long story short, I met a guy. I was introduced to a guy that worked out at a gym that I was working at. He was a wrestler, and again, I didn't know indie wrestling. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, he's a wrestler, but I never heard of him. He's not in WWF, okay, But I asked him if he would train me, and lucky for me, he saw the passion that I had, and that I wasn't just goofing around. By that time, I already looked like a wrestler. I made sure that I knew it was something I wanted to do, and I got into working out, and I wanted to look like the guys that that I emulate, that I watched and that I idolized. And the next thing you know, it's like 13 years later or something like that. I'm not doing it anymore because I'm old and grizzled and all beat up, and my back is I could spinal stenosis and all that fun shit. Well, stuff.
So who is this guy you met that said, yeah, we'll train you? What's his name?
His name was Vinny Magnetti. He went by the name Shark Attack Kid, and he did some stuff with ECW and all over the East Coast Indies. That's where I'm originally from, is New York. So eventually, I started working the whole like East Coast. Everywhere from from New York. So like Jersey all the way to Maine, and it was mainly East Coast stuff because the people that I knew got me in with with those promotions. And then, it wasn't until 2005 that I said, all right, I've been on this East Coast thing, bouncing around. Everybody knows who I am. I've worked for everybody. I'm not getting any closer to WWE. Packing up and going down there. And, I wasn't under contract with OVW. I wasn't under, no developmental deal. I was down there on my own dime, working whenever I wasn't training. You know what I mean? It was tough because that was like, where do you find time to make money? But at the same time, I was showing up at every training session, every house show, and getting in the gym. It was that's what you do, man. That's the difference between when people want it, and people say that they want it. So it was a tough time. But it wasn't in the cards, man. It wasn't meant to be that I get signed. You know what I mean? But I did my thing, and I'm happy I did it.
Shot, and I implore anybody that's watching this right now, look up Vic Divine on the internet, and dude, you could tell you put in the work. You freaking your body. You look the part. I like it when guys that are professional wrestlers look like a professional wrestler and not a guy. You could tell when you go to a local indie show who's in the bar league championships and just wrestling once a month, and who's taking it serious and putting in the work. And those are the guys I want to buy their gear. I want to find out more about them.
Yeah, I'm very big on that too. And there's too many guys in the WWE right now that they don't stand out. They don't look like superstars. They don't look like athletes. They don't look like anything. They look like it's a shame when they call somebody a superstar and they look like the same person that was working behind the counter at Walmart, behind the cash register. You know what I mean? Their ring gear, they're wearing T-shirts and regular, like regular gym shorts. Can't have that, man. It bugs me. Like, I'm an old school guy. Everybody looked like a wrestler, whether they were in shape or, big, like tugboat or, you know what I mean? They stood out. You know what I mean?
Something about them. And
yeah.
You know what bugs me too is I can go to an indie show today, and I'm always watching the feed of people in the ring to see who's, all those, hidden movements, that are just taking stuff away when you stutter step. But if they're not wiping their feet before they step in the ring, it drives me nuts. That's my complete and utter rage. Because then I'm like, I respect the business. And you remember back in the day, protect the business. And protect the business meant something different than I think it means today. Because protect the business meant we're looking at it. We don't want it to get out. We want to present this as a shoot style. Now I take it as protect the business still means that, but I got to protect it from some of these other morons that are just think they can jump in and buy a ring and call themselves a professional wrestler. Because you're right. Back when you and I wanted to break in, we could not jump on. Sorry, I'm getting on my soapbox here. I'll calm down. We couldn't jump on Facebook or the internet. I'm sure the internet was around, but I didn't know how to. I don't know, barely know how to use it now. You just could call up Joe's Gym and say they'll train you. And then people go, hey, I'm going to buy a ring. And right now, I'm in the state of Wisconsin. I could buy a ring right now and tell everybody I'm a promoter, I'm a trainer doing this. Instead of paying thousands of dollars, I can half-ass train you and leave a bunch of gaps. And then you're going to go out and hurt somebody, or even worse, you're going to have people emulate you and think that this is the way to do it. So yeah, that was my soapbox. And that's my protect the business now, because there's a lot of stuff. And like, that's how it started, like watching people that are unathletic and throw on the tap out gear and go to the freaking ring, and you're not impressing me.
It drives me nuts, man. I mean, believe me, don't get me off. Don't get me started on a tangent about today's wrestling, because this podcast will go sour. You want to get me to my boiling point? My boiling point will be, if we're talking about today's wrestling, I can't watch today's wrestling. I can't be around. I can't go to an indie show. I don't even want to be like, if I'm going to get booked, like, of course, if I get booked for an indie show to do like, an appearance, that's fine. I won't go to an indie show to watch. I won't, money is money, but I would much rather do like, a convention or an expo where like I do weddings, I do parties, you know what I mean? Everything. So it's like the non-wrestling events are more fun for me because I really don't even want to be around it anymore.
Tough. And the tough thing about it, and this is the last thing I'll say about it because we'll both be in trouble, but it almost mirrors, dare I say it, politics, where if I have an opinion about what I like versus some of the stuff's going on, then I'm out of touch. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I need to shut up. And I'm like, all right. So now I don't even say anything. I just let it ride. But I'm in the business where I'm trying to, I want fans to come to wrestling, and sometimes I do that stutter step. Like if they're putting the freaking butts in the seats, then I guess who am I to argue if they're getting paid and stuff? But some of it is just beyond my when I say protect the business, it's gone beyond into some of the absurd things that I'm like, that's just not how I was brought up. And that's not even discount the training, but when we were kids, that's not how we were brought up. Remember, we used to protect the business as kids.
Yep.
We wouldn't let anybody knock on it. Parents would look at us kind of weird, but I'm like, hey, Hogan's my guy. Savage is my guy. That's, when Andre pinned Hogan with the twin referees, that ruined my whole weekend. That ruined my whole weekend.
Right? There were so many things that were so real to us, man, and it was like it was a good time to be a wrestling fan. You know what I mean? Like I hate to sound old, but I am, and kids today will just never know, what it was like in the 80s and 90s, man. You know what I mean? Like they only see today's stuff, and it's like they would probably go back and watch the stuff that we watched and go, oh, that's crappy, whatever. Just like if I go back and I watch like old WWF stuff, to me it's like, oh, it's just wrestling. There's no, you know what I mean? So things evolve and people like different things, but I personally can't get into today's product.
One of the things that when we were kids and didn't have the internet, and this is turned into the old man show if you're watching.
Right.
Remember when they would just say, and this match never happened, I'm just going to throw it. They would say, hey, WrestleMania 6, it's going to be Brutus Beefcake versus Bad News Brown. And we weren't going, oh, well, that's terrible booking. That was this and that. We were like, frick, that's what they're giving us. All right, let's check it out.
Right.
And I missed that. Right. I missed that because I have to be on the internet and Twitter. And then everybody's an armchair booker. And that's where, we do a podcast, and I'm trying to change that format more into something for, hey, I don't want to sit there and fantasy book anything. And I don't want to just, everybody and their brother has a podcast now out of their mom's basement in this pandemic and going, hey, let's talk about every match that happened this week. And I like this, I didn't like that. It's like, I want to come at it from a different angle. Which leads me into my next question. No, it doesn't. My next question is, have you had the honor or pleasure of meeting like Lanny Poffo at all? Or does he know who you?
He knows who I am. And he's enjoying his retirement in Ecuador right now. He's living in Ecuador, man. Yeah. And it looks beautiful, man. I've commented on some of his posts, and I'm like, dude, you need a roommate? Like, I want to get out of here. I've spoken to him about a few things. I've emailed him, and he's actually, emailed me back. And I met him when I was a little kid. This is how long ago it was. He was on a payphone. And I waited for him to get off so I could meet him. But I'm actually trying to get in touch with him now because of some ideas that I have, and I need to get his okay and his Macho Man's widow, from what I understand, is she's in charge of the whole estate, and so it's really her that would have to give me the okay to do certain things that I want to do. I don't want to say what they are because somebody
No,
will
no,
come and
yeah.
snatch it up and you know.
No, but it's just it's like I said, it's been great talking to you, but to hear that the wheels are still turning, it's not like, hey, I'm
Oh
doing
man.
I'm just gonna do Macho Man and rely on this. I'm gonna do Macho Man to the nth degree and stuff. That's refreshing
Yeah,
to hear.
I want to take this thing to the limit, man. I mean, all kinds of video ideas and like the voice, you know, the prank phone calls and stuff like that, man. Definitely something that I'm going to add to the list. I have a list of the things, you know, like my Motch bucket list, and a lot of them have already been crossed off, and there's a lot more to go. And you know, I do want to have one more match if my back could, you know, a little kind of like a mini match, more of like a not so much. It ain't gonna be no you know, Ricky Steamboat match. It's gonna be, I already have, you know, who I want to work, and it's gonna be a very entertainment based, almost like an exhibition type of, you know, not a real. I mean, it would be a real match, obviously, you know what I mean, but it not a long match, just pretty much you know, Motch being able to use all of those signature moves, and you know, once I'm done with those moves, the match is over, type of thing. I would have to do the big elbow, and I just don't really know. I don't think that my pain doctor or my I already have a surgeon that is ready. You know, he told me don't get surgery yet because I'm not in pain right now, because I've gotten every procedure done, all those the epidurals and the branch block and this and that and all these and I feel great. I don't know how long I would feel great after, you know, doing a big elbow drop. So, but I do want to have one match as Motch because I never really did that. Not in a serious type of, you know, like a real match where I can use all of the moves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome. That'd be something, like a fight or somebody you could pick up just as a novelty. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
We started talking and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just
It's
keep
cool,
going.
man.
You talk about coming out. I would imagine you would get a robe, but do you own any memorabilia from Randy Savage? Do you have his baseball card? Because I know sometimes a robe or some tights or something gets out. Do you have any?
Uh-oh. The beast. The beast is
Hold on.
away. Shh. Hey, I'm doing a podcast. What are you doing? Trying to steal my spotlight.
It happens.
I don't have any official memorabilia, like, you know, any robes or ring gear that he owned or anything like that. I have had stuff made, obviously. Like I do. Not only do I do this 80s version of Motch, but I also have the 90s version of Motch with the fringe and the cowboy hats, and it's kind of like all stuff that I had made. You know, the Macho King, I have all that stuff, but it's kind of like it's not official, stuff that belonged to. The only thing that I do have,
Replica.
right? The only thing that I do have is, and this is really interesting, but I not too long ago, a couple of years ago, when I really started to become this Motch character and this Motch fanatic, and I wanted to hear the CD, because I never heard it. I knew of it, but I'm like, all right, I got to get my hands on that thing. So there's this store that I go to here I live in Las Vegas, and they have all used DVDs and CDs, and you buy and sell and trade whatever. So I asked them if they had it, and they said that they didn't have it there, but they were going to check one of the other stores. And they checked, and they said, yeah, we have one. We could get it shipped down here. We'll call you when it comes in. I'm like, all right, can't cost that much money, whatever. Cost me $5, right? I open it up, and it's autographed to whoever it was that traded it in or sold it to them. The pamphlet on the inside, it says to Frank, Macho Man, and it's his legit signature, man. I have an autograph to Frank, but I don't know what this guy was thinking, man, because he sold it And I've seen that on eBay. People that have signed DVD CDs selling them for like $500. You know, so I have his autograph, not not intentionally. It just kind of happened for $5.
You know what my trick is, and I just started doing it a few years ago. If I go to like Goodwill or anything, I see some sports books. I always open it up to that cover page, and I've gotten a few autographs. That out of it, I've got an autographed Road Warrior Animal book that I got in the airport bookstore in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, of all places, and just did a seminar with him. I think it was like December 14th of 2019, and God rest his soul. Thank God I was there for that. But I do. One of the things I have is a mini poster from WrestleMania 5, where if you bought the VHS and turned in your proof of purchase, you get a WrestleMania 5 digital watch. But it's autographed by Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. And Randy's, it's like a silver Sharpie, but it's almost like it had been used for a day and a half. So it's kind of one of those signatures. But that's one of the things that, I'm very, very happy to own. But if the old pandemic doesn't let up, she's going to have to go on eBay or something somewhere down the road. But very cool, because I never did get to meet him. So got to see him wrestle Dusty Rhodes in 1989, which was cool when he was the Macho King, but never got to meet him.
Yeah, here's a story. You didn't ask me if I ever met Macho Man. I'm surprised. You didn't ask me that. Check this out, man. The only time I ever met him, I'm originally from New York, from Westchester, and they would do shows at the Westchester County Center, which remind me, I got another Westchester County Center story, but so that's where I met Lanny Poffo. He was on the payphone. I met every wrestler there because back then, and I was about, 12, 13, 14, whatever, right? And I would walk there. Sometimes I would walk there in a snowstorm, man, no joke, like just to stand outside and meet the wrestlers. I didn't even have a ticket. I wasn't even going in, unless the few times I snuck in and watched the show, but it was this particular time was like in the spring or something like that. It was nice out. There was a bunch of kids outside in the parking lot because you were able to do that then. The guys would pull up in their rental cars, and sometimes the kids would be like, "Can I carry your bag?" And you know what I mean? Like you could actually meet everybody. It was unbelievable. And Macho Man came out, popped his head out the door one time, and he goes, "Hey, does anybody have any gum?" And I just happened to have gum, and I said, I got you, man. And I gave him a piece of gum, and I said, "Oh, I got to do something for you." And I did my impression for him, and he popped for it, man. I swear to God, that's one of the coolest stories that I have because I did it. I said, "Oh yeah, whatever." And his response, because I remember even like as a little kid, I got the worst memory, but I'll remember. He goes, "Wow, man, that sounds a little bit like somebody I know," just like that. So that was my only time ever meeting him, but I gave him a piece of my gum, man.
That's awesome to see what you're doing now and coming from there. What's the other Westchester story?
Westchester County Center was like I said, it was always where I went to meet all the wrestlers and everything. And years and years. Well, first of all, in '92, I graduated high school, and my graduation was at the Westchester County Center. So walking across the stage at Westchester County Center with Pomp and Circumstance playing, man, if I could go back in time and take the robe off and the gown that here I am looking like Lanny Poffo doing the genius and walking across the stage with Pomp and Circumstance, pretty wild. Years later, after I had gotten into wrestling, it was in 1999, so I was only in the business for a couple of years. There was a huge show at the county center with a lot of names on it. It was an NAWA show, and there was there was like a name talent in every match. And I wasn't booked on the show. My trainer, Shark Attack Kid, was booked, And he always told me, you know, go to shows, bring your ring gear, you know, you never know. So I went, hung out in the back with him, met everybody, was trying not to mark out on the inside because, you know, there was a lot of talent there. I mean, there was a lot of you know, names that I just, you know, watched. You know, they had like just been released from WWE or whatever, so it's like, you know, they were like very familiar. You know what I mean? And two of the guys that were on the show were King Kong Bundy and Sid Vicious, and they were supposed to work each other, I believe, and for whatever reason they didn't work each other. They needed somebody to work with Sid, and that somebody was me. I
Wow.
wasn't even booked on the show, and there's video footage of that match, me getting power bombed by Sid, and at the time I was about 230, so I was, you know, I was jacked, and I looked so little next to him, man. And it was just like a, you know, a quick little squash match, and power bombed me and choke slammed me. And if you go, I'm pretty sure that it's on. If you put in Vic Devine, you can find all kinds of old wrestling footage. And now that is spelled differently too. So just in case, because people, if they put it in wrong, it may not show up. But it's Vic, VICD period VINE. So it's
Right.
Vic D Vine. There are some things that'll pop up, like if you spell it wrong, like just because people have posted things. But I'm pretty sure that you can actually find that on my social media. If you go to the if you go to Vic D Vine on Facebook, you'll find it on there. If you put in Vic Vine, it'll probably show up on there too. Like I have several different, because, you know, I didn't know what I was doing, so I'm like creating all these different pages. But you'll be able to find it if you really want to find it. You'll probably somebody out there will probably have an easier time finding it than I actually would on my own social media.
If you find it, please share it to Vic's social media so he can see it. So I got this I pulled out while you were talking there. It's gonna not show up on the green screen, but it's the WCW Mayhem, I think, the music with the W. What do you think of that WCW What Up Motch theme? Not the same, I know.
You know what? I like that better than what they did with the Pomp and Circumstance when he first came to WCW, with the with like that electric guitar in the beginning or whatever it was. You know, that they changed it. It was still Pomp and Circumstance, but they did like you know, it just wasn't the same. You know what I mean? So I didn't like the WCW Pomp and Circumstance, but I did like the What Up Mach and that whole like reinvented Macho Man character, you know. And I do that one too. I do that one with the, you know, you can see all the different versions of Mach on my social media, you know, with the hair slicked back and the little ponytail and the Kangol hat and the, you know, I have you know, I like that look on him, man. I thought he looked like a badass, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, he just kept getting jacked. You know, he was just, he never lost his, and later when I see the pictures before he passed where he let the gray come out, and I'm like, dude, that, you know, don't be fooled. That is not an old man. That's a badass. He's still a badass. So now we talk about one of the things that drew me in, you know, not just his ring presence and stuff, but that charisma in the interviews. And we did talk about wrestling today maybe not being up to our old guy standards. I graduated the same year as you, so we're in the same boat. We're allowed to talk like this. But is there anybody
for your age, man?
You know what? I stay young by reading at a third grade level. That's how I keep my youthful exuberance, you know.
Just don't read Dr. Seuss, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we can't.
Trouble, right?
Oh, side note, while we're talking about that, a few years ago for Valentine's Day, I bought my younger sister at Walmart for $5. $5. It was the best of Pepe Le Pew, because the Looney Tunes always cracked me up when we watch cartoons, and now I saw that's going for over $210 online, and thankfully she never opened it. I called her the other day and said, "Get that puppy up there, $5 Pepe Le Pew. Let's make that'll be the best $5 I ever spent on you. So
right. It's like, suddenly Pepe Le Pew is like, a wanted felon. You know what I mean? Like he's a, I don't even want to say it, but man,
I know.
the guy was in love. Give him a break, man. He wasn't, wasn't doing
Blinded by
nothing.
love, yeah. And I just, it this is I'm going to say it, we can leave it. But when I can watch a South Park or a Family Guy,
Right.
all these other things, but I don't know if they get a pass just because, hey, we mean to be offensive. And then that it boggles my mind. And I don't want them to come after wrestling because some of my favorite things in wrestling, Bobby Heenan has said some of the things that we can't say now, but I'll tell you off the air a couple of my favorites.
And Jesse Ventura, making remarks about Tito Santana and everything. I mean, listen, man, if they start attacking wrestling, Macho Man's in trouble. And I actually just did a video doing one of those boiling point videos. Because think about it, with Macho Man, number one, the way he treated Elizabeth back in, in the 80s, and he would yell at her and he'd grab her by the chin and, and it was a character, you know what I mean? But people will say that he was, domestic violence and he was beating her and this and that. It's only a matter of time before they start going after 80s and 90s wrestling. I mean, especially like the Attitude Era, you know what I mean? With all that stuff. I mean, it's only a matter of time before people start to cancel. They try to cancel wrestling culture. And that's enough to get me to my boiling point.
That would be too. And that's why a lot of people go, hey, why don't you just YouTube, and the network has enough stuff for you? Well, I'm looking at a huge rack of wrestling DVDs that I bought that I will not get rid of because you can't. Because all of a sudden, even with like Netflix and stuff and non-wrestling, some of those shows are on there, and then all of a sudden, when you want to watch them, they're off. They're on some other service for another $10. But now with this cancel culture, I think it's a good time to invest in physical media. In my opinion. But the question where I was going, and we went down that tangent, and I'm glad.
Oh, right. Where were we?
We talked about not really being into today's wrestling because we're old, but since Macho Man left us, has there been, and nobody's gonna, and especially in your eyes, nobody's gonna be up to his level, but has there been anybody that has that charisma that you're like, you know what, I can kind of get into this guy? When you're thinking, would there be anybody that would fit that?
I'm going to give you a really, really unpopular answer, man. And there's one person that was very creative with coming out with a different outfit. He was unbelievable on the mic, and he just not a great wrestler, but a hell of an entertainer, and that's Enzo.
Yeah.
Enzo cracked me up. I tuned in for a little while, because I hadn't watched wrestling in a while. But maybe it's because I'm, an East Coast guy, and he was like, a Jersey guy or whatever. That character. When I would watch, I didn't care to see him wrestle. The backstage segments with like the thing with him and Lana, when he was backstage naked, you know what I mean? And he's like, hey, I mean, but his ring presence, his mic skills, he would always come out. I mean, the hair was wild, you know what I mean? But if you notice, man, he was always wearing something different, whether it was like overalls or it was, this print or that print. And he always had a different look, but he was real marketable. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if somebody wanted to do an impression of Enzo, you know what I mean, with that wild hair and the, his voice or whatever like that, like I could somewhat do like an Enzo only because I could do a, Jersey type of accent, Hey, couple haters, Sure, I'm gonna get a couple of haters because of my my choice of Enzo over there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
See how I throw them out? I throw them out when you're not expecting it, man.
Not on demand. I'll say one thing about, no matter what people say about Enzo, and people could say everything about everybody. in 2019 or 2020, when they canceled WrestleMania in Tampa, and we had all of our travelers from the UK, they booked with us. So they had their flight, they had their hotel, they were ready to enjoy WrestleMania week, and it got canceled. And we were going to sponsor the Mania pub crawl with all of the money going to pediatric cancer. Well, the guy that started the Mania pub crawl, now remember, WrestleMania was on a Saturday. Wednesday night, I get a call. He's telling me, and you'll be in my boat because I didn't understand a word he said. He goes, we're going to do a virtual pub crawl on Twitch, and the money's going to go to the Red Cross. Can you help me get some guys? And one of the first guys that said, yes, I will do it was Enzo Amore, and sent us a video, and, you know, for charity. Awesome.
People could say what they want. I've never met him. I've seen videos. I've listened to him speak, and, you know, I could get a pretty good idea of the type of person that he is. And I know that he was kind of a, you know, wasn't a very popular guy backstage, you know what I mean? But in real life, he seems like a really good dude, man. You know, he says some real positive things. I've seen him visit fans of his that were, you know, in the hospital, or, you know, less fortunate people. And, you know, I mean, you know, who knows, man? Maybe there was, he seems like a good dude, but he probably rubbed people the wrong way. Maybe he was just staying in character backstage. You know what I mean? Maybe he was big on kayfabe and just kept himself in character. You know, maybe he just felt a little intimidated by some of those, you know, bigger name guys. So he felt like he had to kind of, he wasn't a very big guy, you know what I mean? So maybe it was like that Napoleon type complex where he kind of felt like he had to, you know, be a dick, you know what I mean? But I would love to meet him, honestly. Like, he seems like a good dude, and he seems like he'd be a hell of a good time hanging out with him.
I've seen him do interviews where, you know, you see what he does on camera, and then he has come across to me where I'm like, that guy is more intelligent than I ever would have thought. So, I mean, not, you know, that's the stigma that we all get with wrestlers. We're all meatheads and dumb and stuff. And when we did that, backtracking on that Mania Crawl weekend where he did that, a lot of other wrestlers, a lot of them from the East Coast, sent promos for us. We raised close to $3,500 that weekend in the middle, the start of a pandemic where nobody really knew where their next dollar was coming from. So people can look down their nose at our business, but for the most part, there's always going to be a dick here and there. But the wrestlers and the fans come up big when it counts. They care for each other. And it's just, to me, that's one of the greatest things. And I'm not taking away from any other organizations, but, you know, people are too quick to look down their nose at this business and the fans.
Right.
And it's one of the best family, you know, well, I say that now, but everybody's arguing about what's better, AEW or WWE. But for the most part, when it comes down for charity or opening up a wallet, a wrestling fan and the wrestlers will do whatever they can to help out, I feel.
There are some great guys and girls that are wrestlers that are in the business that work for either company. I got a lot of friends that are at both companies. You know, I got a lot of friends from years ago, you know, from the indies. Like, I don't have many, but I've met some of the greatest people and some of my very best friends. Josh Daniels, he's one of the guys that was on the indie scene back, you know, when I was on the East Coast and everything like that, man. He lives in Jersey. I live in Vegas. We talk almost every day. You know, he's like one of my best friends. And the funny thing is that I hated him when I first met him, you know, because we were just both wrestler, meathead, you know, testosterone, and I trained with him. He taught me a lot. We've had great matches, but he was a very it's like that tough love. You know what I mean? We would train together, and he would, you know, beat the shit out of me. And his chops are vicious. You don't ever want to get chopped by him, especially if he's actually angry with you. But great guy, man. You know what I mean? And wrestlers are not bad people. The wrestling business could turn good people into bad people. That's for sure. And there are a lot of you know, pieces of garbage in the wrestling business, whether they're famous or not famous. And, you know, of course, you know, promoters are, you know, in a whole different category. I'm not a very big fan of all of them. There might be like one or two that I actually that I have worked for that I respect and that I like, and they're actually good people. And I would say to them, man, you're in the wrong business. Like I said that to wrestlers too that are, good people, and I'm like, man, don't let it change you, man. You're in the wrong business. Like you're too nice to be in this industry.
When I hear people talking about the hot dog and the handshake, I used to get the hey, this is better than money. We gave you experience in the ring, setting it up, taking it down, gave you a match, and it was like this is how it's going to be. And that's unfortunately probably derailed more than a number of fantastic careers. So I got just a couple questions left for you because
go ahead.
Two things. I want to respect your time, and I want to get you on for a part 2 down the road.
Yeah.
Now I know what you do, and you do videos, and I don't want to ask you to do any. It's just speaking of money, I'm going to sound like a bad promoter here. Could you Macho Man? Could you tell me why people should watch the lockdown sessions hosted by myself? Is there any little words of wisdom you can give to people watching why they should be watching this show?
Well, just speaking from my own personal experience with you for the very first time, I would say that the Lockdown podcast is where you want to be locked down. Yeah, because it's very entertaining, and the host is the host with the most. Yeah, dig it? There you go, man. Free of charge, no problem.
Yeah, that's just a little snippet because it leads into my final question. We've gone over so many of the social media platforms where people can follow what you're doing, but I want them to know that you do get out on all these platforms and you do have videos for the young generation that's watching it. Maybe dad's favorite wrestler was Randy Savage and stuff. So where can they find you? I know this is going to be a half-hour question. We went over a few of the platforms, but they can check you out, and hopefully people are ordering videos and ordering merchandise from you. So I want you to spew it all for me.
Actually, it's an easy question to answer. It's all in the spelling. It's MOTCHOMANN. If you Google that, everything will come up, man. I got Instagram is Motch O Graham. That's easy to remember. You know what I mean? Twitter is Motch O Tweet. The only thing that's messed up, well, you could find Motch O Mann on Facebook because I have, like I said, there's a fan page, and then there's this and there's that, and there's a Motch World Order page. And if you just type in Motch O Mann with the correct spelling, everything should pop up. Google is our best friend. So you'll be able to find all of the social media platforms, all of the Cameo pages, and I am on Cameo. I am on Celeb Video Message, and if you contact me directly on any of my social media and you want a video, just hit me up, tell me what you want, and I'll get it right to you.
That's what I'm saying. That's the best way. So, man, I talked your ear off, and hopefully you're going to let me do it again somewhere down the line. But I cannot thank you enough for joining us today, Motch. And I have a terrible ending to my interviews all the time. I got this Chris Farley show mentality where I'm trying to wrap it up, and I should have wrapped it up 5 seconds ago. So I'm just going to end it by saying, thank you so much for joining us today.
And I'll end it by saying, "Ooh, yeah, thank you very much, and dig it." Yeah.